The Equal Credit Opportunity Act is another law dealing with financing that creditors must comply with. But it's pretty much what it sounds like. Y'all dealing with equal credit opportunity. But obviously, it's illegal to discriminate in financing. If someone qualifies for a loan, then you got to give them a loan. It's just that simple. Now, if someone does not qualify for a loan, it says the lender must let them know within 30 days once the approval is denied, once it's approved or denied, quite frankly. You have to let the consumer know within 30 days. To me, that seems like an awful long time to wait to tell somebody that they are denied a loan. But hey, I didn't write the law, so there it is. Now, obviously, they do have to notify you if you're denied the loan, and they do have to tell you why you were denied the loan. A question I get a lot is, do they have to inform the person in writing on why they were denied the loan? And no, the answer is they don't. It doesn't have to be in writing. In fact, typically, a loan officer, if you apply for a loan and you don't qualify, you usually get a phone call from the loan officer just letting you know that, hey, your credit score has to be 20 points higher, or whatever the situation might be. But until you get your credit score up, or maybe until you get your debt to income ratio back into a little where it's a little bit better, then we can't do the loan. So they'll just tell you, and hopefully if you got a good loan officer, they can tell you how to correct whatever the issue is, get that taken care of, so then you can go ahead and get the loan. But y'all, that's the Equal Credit Opportunity Act. But part of this act is something called the valuation rule. And a lot of people are not aware of this or understand it. But obviously, typically the lender is going to have the home you're buying. They're going to want to have it appraised. And guess who's going to pay for that appraisal? The borrower. So because of that, the borrower is entitled to get a copy of that appraisal. Whether they were denied a loan or approved for the loan, it does not matter. Now, hopefully, you haven't gone through the appraisal process and had to pay for that if we don't know the loan is approved. So I would think that would come first, but they do include in here, in case the loan is denied, you're entitled to get a copy of that appraisal. The reason this is an issue is because, and a lot of people don't realize this, but the appraisal is considered confidential information. And obviously only certain people are privy to see confidential information. Obviously the client of the appraiser will get it, and typically the client is the lender. So if I'm doing an appraisal for somebody looking to buy a house, obviously the lender's my client. They're the ones that contacted me to do the appraisal. So as an appraiser, I can't provide this appraisal to anyone else or even discuss the results of their appraisal with anyone else other than the client, because it's confidential information. But again, because the buyer typically pays for the appraisal, if they request a copy of it, then the lender can and must provide it. But I will tell you, just from what I've seen, and again, typically, maybe this isn't all the time, but typically the lender does not provide a copy of the appraisal unless they're specifically asked for a copy. Because I will tell you, typically, excuse me, lenders do not want, they would prefer that appraisal not to be released. Okay. So just know, if you're the buyer, you can certainly request a copy of their appraisal, or any other valuation services that were provided. If there were some other valuation of any kind, then you certainly have the right to get a copy of anything the lender has. So that valuation rule falls right underneath the Equal Credit Opportunity Act.